Welcome back, folks. It's Thursday night, pre-football game. You know what that means. Seth's here. He's a little busy. I'm here. I'm not quite as busy, but I'm working on it. And we're going to have a lot of fun. We'll answer some of your questions. We're going to go over his training camp observations. Mine are coming next week. And talk about these 49ers they're about to play. Welcome to RGR Football. Don't you love it when the phone starts going off as soon as you press play on the intro clip? Yeah,
that was real professional, Ryan.
Yeah, well,
you know, I'm out here giving my heart and soul to this segment.
You are lifting the credibility of this entire show, bud.
I'm sorry. Did you say something?
Exactly. Okay.
I'm single-handedly. I'm doing really well, man. It's good to see you. How you been?
Ragged. I leave tomorrow. So it's been compressing everything down to get ready to do the thing with the stuff. So
yes, well, wait, where are you leaving to tomorrow?
I'm going where you just went. I'll be at camp on Monday and Tuesday.
Nice. That's such an interesting time to go after the first preseason game. Get a chance to really kind of observe some stuff and kind of see how they, you know, if you see any like adjustments, you know, if they mess with the first team, something or other. As they do this stuff. Sorry, had to find my chapstick. There we go.
Important.
But because you do see a little bit of that, especially with a more condensed preseason. 3 games this year. I would assume it has some impact. My guess is it's the third preseason game becomes the fourth preseason game, and you just see like more of just like full halftime. You treat the second preseason game like the third preseason game.
I don't know. Andy said he was going to do the same thing he always does, and that the starters are going to play the most in the third preseason game, which tells me you're just cutting out the young, you know, the bottom end of the roster evaluation. Although he came out today and said, we're going to give every level a quarter. Starters are first quarter, backups are second, third string has the third, and everybody else has the fourth.
Man, that fourth quarter, I got to tell you, no one is as insane as I am when it comes to football. Well, some people are, but very few. And that fourth quarter of the first preseason game, as much as I've paid attention to camp battles and stuff, becomes a grind where you're just like, because you get that first, you're football. And so the first quarter, like the starters are on the field. You're like, I'm going to review so much film. This is going to be amazing. and you talk like that. It's weird.
It's awesome.
And then, you know, the backups come in, but it's kind of like a mix of some of the backups and some of the starters. And you're like, oh, that was a nice play against who was that guy? I can't really tell anything because both the quarterbacks, you know, the levels come down. And then in the third quarter, when the line play on both sides starts to deteriorate. And it's usually what my experience is once you get to those third string and fourth string, the third and fourth quarter, the line play deteriorates, but not at the same level. And you realize how much parity there is in the NFL in like overall play, even really good defensive lines versus really bad offensive lines. You see some parity still, but usually one team's third string versus the other team's third string, it's usually like,
yeah.
or like there's one particular matchup and then you just see losses and wins over and over and over again. But before that, it's going to be awesome.
Should be very entertaining. It's always different, folks, and we're not going to have the breakdown post-game show. That won't happen until week 1. And if you are new to the channel since last season, I live break down the game post-game, whatever game it is, Sunday night, Thursday night, Monday night, whatever. That's the breakdown show. We're not doing that because in the preseason games, there's no film. And by the fourth quarter, like you were just talking about, I've had too many barley pops to like really talk coherently. So it's not good for anyone. I enjoy the preseason. I work the regular season. So it changes what I ingest in the meantime. So
yes. You got to do whatever it takes to enjoy that first preseason game. The first quarter is going to be awesome though. I'm excited. Well, I'm curious how you want to do tonight because we could talk about the game, what we're going to be looking at. On the other hand, I wasn't at St. Joe like 2 days ago.
Yeah,
Great
let's
answer,
do this. Mr. Ben Brotbeck, of course, thank you for your support.
Ben.
Always the first super chat in the house. He does have one
Always.
question. We'll answer that in a minute. But folks, I want to say thank you to all the super chatters on this show and every other show. If you didn't catch it, we are live on Thursday and Monday nights, and then there'll be the post-game show, the breakdown. So just be prepared for that. But if you want to support us, the super chats are a way to do it. So we're buying the shirts and stuff in the store that I can put the little, well, maybe I can't because I'm just wrong. No, that's the address. This is the store. Yes. You can get stuff there. That's always supportive as well, and we appreciate that. You have to go over the Substack to help Seth out as well. So like there's all that stuff. And so tonight, I think we should go through your camp observations first, because that kind of leads into what we'll see in this game.
Absolutely.
And then we will get to some questions.
Let me just tell you, the first thing about camp is it was hot.
Yeah.
It was like a 97-degree high kind of day. It was pretty humid, and I just was like, ugh. But we can answer Ben's question first.
Okay.
Because I think he did a super chat. Ben, you're the best, man. I don't know how you beat everyone to it every week. That's so impressive.
It is.
But yeah, well done you. I actually, before we even do that, I have a little insider baseball.
Ooh.
Not really. But it has nothing to, it's not going to be anything that's going to interest anyone that's watching this. So you're welcome, dear subscribers and,
so helpful.
and watchers. But no, your fearless leader, Mr. Ryan Tracy, all of our fearless leader. I can't say who I was talking to, other than to say I ended up having some great conversations with a bunch of good friends in Kansas City Chiefs media, and your name came up. And everyone agreed that Ryan Tracy's a heck of a dude and does a great job. And one person said, what Ryan Tracy has done, building his own YouTube channel, building the Locked On platform, building all this stuff, is more impressive than anything anyone at this table has done in terms of sports media coverage. And I just thought you'd like to know that you, my friend, are held in high esteem.
That's awesome. Oh, made me tear up. That is kind words. I appreciate that. Huh.
I completely agree with it. And I said, absolutely, that's true. Everyone else that I know in Chiefs media had a platform that they utilize. See, look at this. Everyone, Ryan is a legend. He is awesome. Everyone else had to have a lever to prop themselves up. You freaking made the lever, man. You were like, okay, no one's going to hand me a lever. I'm just going to break off a branch of this tree and do it myself. And so anyway, I thought you'd want to know what high esteem you're held in the very high level circles that I, of course, run in. On a side note, I'm really hurt, everyone. No one's noticed. The silver tie is out. The red and silver tie is in. I needed to add a little bit of red. So I wanted you to know that. And now we can get to the super chat. Ryan, you're awesome, and you deserve every bit of praise you ever get.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And whoever said that, please thank them for me. Because, it's fun. It's good to have a platform. It helps you get places, but it's also fun to just be able to say whatever you want, whenever you want.
Absolutely. I love it.
It's good times. And I'm sure we'll have some differing things to say about this one, because Ben wants to know about the linebackers, which will step up from what you've seen in practice, and we'll get into those notes here in a minute. We know Hitch and Neiman, Bolton, Gay, but will Harris step in for the third team reps? Does Cole have a chance? What did you see, or how do you feel about it right now?
I didn't see anyone do anything that would differentiate themselves. And that's not me being a dink. It's just the truth. It's just fairly paint by numbers stuff after you get through those first four. And honestly, I don't think Neiman's done a ton to really differentiate himself, in my opinion, but that's just is what it is. So, I mean, really, I'm guessing it'll be Harris just based off time alone.
Okay.
But yeah, they're really, let me just say, if they are at that point, they're in trouble. Like that. If they're at the point where Harris is playing significant snaps, a lot has gone wrong.
And you've probably made an acquisition prior to getting to that point.
Yeah, you probably are like, oh, is Wright still a free agent or anything? It's just like, holy crap, we need to bring a decent inside linebacker. Hey, look, there happens to be one off the street. So, yeah, I haven't seen much, I didn't see anything that allowed them to differentiate. I saw a really hot day. Man, I saw so much at camp. I wrote about it on the Chief of the North newsletter. I didn't see as much at training camp as I normally do, and that's because I was following my kids around. And I wrote about that actually,
And it was
and
good.
oh, thanks. I'm just gonna take, I swear, 1 minute of this
Do it.
to just say, like, it's really easy, I think, when you're really passionate about sports, like all of us are. We're really passionate about a team, to include your kids in it, but kind of like to a certain extent, because like you want to do your thing, hey, daddy's watching the game, or I don't really know if you want to come to training camp. I mean, it's going to be too hot, or, I don't really know if you want to come to the game. It's a lot of money for a kid that might not pay attention the whole time, et cetera, et cetera. I would just say that I had just the best time. And did it keep me from doing my job quite as well as I normally would? I think so. And I'm sorry for subscribers and listeners or whatever, but I'm not. I just had the best time watching my daughter just flip out over how far Tommy Townsend can punt the ball.
Oh, really?
Oh my God. Oh, they thought it was incredible. It was the most impressed they were all at camp. They thought Tyreek Hill was really fast. Patrick Mahomes is really buff. Chris Jones is really tall. And Tommy Townsend can just punt the ball a country mile. And because we were right there, we were like as far away as you could get from the one-on-ones because they needed shade. And that just is what it is. And it was just, it was so cool. They're sitting there with their faces in the program, looking up the players. And I mean, I took a 10-hour road trip. We're sitting there playing Would You Rather in the car and just, looking at windmills in Iowa and doing all kinds of stuff. And I would just urge anyone who, man, this is all supposed to be fun. And if you have a way to involve your kids in it, just please do. Even if it seems like it's going to be a little bit inconvenient sometimes, it probably will, but that's okay. Like it was just the best, man. So I wrote about that in part just because it's just a reminder, like sports are great largely because of shared moments. I mean, football is a beautiful sport, but like when I think about the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl, I largely think about the people who I was there with. And a lot of my friends too. Like I think about like texting you and like talking everyone that I've worked with and everyone just like, oh my God, they did it, And so just something to think about. And with that in mind, we're not going to talk about any of my observations because we missed like 8 super chats. But man, bring your kids to camp. It'll be hot. You'll probably have to leave early. I had to leave as special teams were starting. Starting in earnest. They left their favorite player, but you just go and
just douse them in water. They'll be fine.
No, we're from Minnesota, dude. They were.
Oh, I forgot.
They were on the struggle bus, and so. But yeah, let's burn through these questions really quickly, and then we'll talk about camp observations.
Okay, I'm looking forward to repeating your process though, because just quick moment. One of my girls, they're 12. They were with me for Patrick Mahomes' first start here in Denver.
Man,
it was 7 degrees. They sat through the entire game, and they will always be Mahomes fans. They don't watch the games. They can't get through it. They'll watch the first series and see if he throws, and then they're elsewhere, right? Because they're 12-year-old girls. What are you going to do?
Yep.
But the littlest one, she's like, Dad, I want to go to camp with you next year so I can watch all of it. And so, like, it's going to be a teaching moment. It's going to be great. So anyway.
You're going to have so much fun. There's so much better. So much better.
I'm pumped. Let's get to Holly's. Thank you, Miss Holly. We appreciate it. I have to get this out of the way. I've gotten a lot of flack for my avatar pick. Not flack, just threw us off. Seth, your thoughts on Tommy being her avatar?
You know what? I would just tell you that you and Isabel Kaiser have awesome taste. And so you have the same taste as the most wonderful, wonderful young woman in the whole world. So I'm pretty sure that you're doing all right.
Thank you, Miss Holly. I think you were fine, and I appreciate the sentiment as well.
Brian is an awesome dude.
Joseph said, Seth, you're looking like you work at a funeral home.
Okay? I do not. I do a little.
somber. It's okay. You're a serious dude in a serious job. Well,
Why
you're an
can't you
unserious
say I
dude in
look
a
like I'm
serious job.
yeah. Why can't you say that I'm on my way to a funeral? Because then I could just out of nowhere pull out a cigarette and say, maybe I am. And do the whole Johnny Cash thing. But no, instead it looks like I work at a funeral home. Maybe I'm on my way to a funeral. Who knows? Although I gotta tell you, the whole pulling out a cigarette thing, I feel like my wife would have something to say. Like when I got home, like, what the crap was that?
Yeah, I can imagine that. I'd like to see that part of the show, actually. So, hey. Who are you most excited?
That would be the $1 million super chat. If anyone really wants to see me do that, $1 million super chat, I'll do that because I'm going to die a half hour later. And so it's to set up my family for life.
Yeah, it's worth it. You can make the sacrifice.
Yes.
So who's the one person you're most excited to watch Saturday?
I'm going to cheat and say the whole offensive line.
Okay.
I polled people on Twitter today. I said, look, I'm obviously going to, now part of this is because of the lack of all 22 that we're not going to talk about right now. But it's also because it's one of the big important things. The first thing I'm going to look at is the offensive line. And I asked people on Twitter, do you want me to just, to probably take a little longer and do one article where I chart every snap of the entire starting line, or do you want me to do it piecemeal? And like 90% of people said, no, do it piecemeal. Get us the first one. And so I'm thinking I will go with Orlando Brown, then Trey Smith, then Creed Humphrey, then Lucas Niang, then Joe Thuney. Okay. Unless something weird happens in the game that makes me say, no, I really got to look at this dude first. Like, if like Trey Smith is just absolutely dominant, maybe I'll start with him. Or maybe if he's really terrible, I'll start with him. But that's my thoughts. That's the story of the season, as far as we know, right? Yeah. If Orlando Brown is as good in Kansas City as he was in Baltimore, and the rest of the line gels how they're hoping, unbelievably great story. If they're not, it'll make the year a little bit tougher.
Yeah. I got to say, I'm most excited to watch Chris. The change to DE is significant, and if he really has the evidence that they've seen, I'm here for this. Evidently, he's under 290 now, which I find intriguing, and I got to put my eyes on it. So that's what I'm looking for, Joseph. Depth chart predictions.
I'll talk about. Yeah, I'll talk about Chris when we're done with these super chats. Because holy crap.
Okay. Okay. I will take that you right to that when we're done. Lee J, I'm not sure if you want the whole thing. I think I can roll 53, but I think there's going to be, and I think there will be some changes. I'm guessing at the wide receiver third level, at possibly at linebacker. Certainly at DB, and I want to see if anything changes on the O-line. Anything for you, Seth?
I would just say the wide receiver depth. I think wide receiver depth chart predictions. I think it's going to look exactly how it looks right now. I really do. I think it's really paint by numbers, and I think Hardman's the third guy up or the second guy up. I really do.
Yeah, everyone that I trust their eyes keep saying that. Hey, he is making strides. Mm-hmm. That he can be the second option at wide. So okay.
Yeah, and he's made it really clear that he's not satisfied with how last year went, and good on him. And so we'll see the talent's there.
Yeah, Travis, thank you very much. We appreciate your super chat as well as Joseph's and Lee Drace as well. I don't see a question, so I'll come back to you. John Smith, that's nice of you to say. There was a lot of Mizzou fans when I first started this channel that didn't want to hear from me. So I'm glad I've grown on y'all. Neil, same thing with you. Thank you for the super chat. We appreciate the support. I'll look for another comment. Eric Schneider's back in the fold. Glad you're feeling better, Eric. So we go from, do we have enough room on the roster for all these linemen, to, holy crap, do we have enough quality depth? I mean, that's why you bring in a herd at the position, right?
Yep. Absolutely. In case you get a couple of injuries. And I think, the depth is fine. Andrew Wiley is just fine as depth on the line. I understand people are like, well, look at the Super Bowl. Well, yes, if what you have is depth at all 5 positions or 4 of the 5 positions, yeah, that's bad. And then that's going to make the depth guys look worse. But good depth is a guy you can plug in with the rest of the starters and not be a weak spot necessarily. And Andrew Wiley has shown he can do that. So they've got enough depth, but it's still, I mean, Austin Blythe, there's a reason they're practicing him at guard as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very comfortable if Blythe has to slide in there and play. Is it as ideal as, if he has to replace Joe Tooney? Of course not.
No.
Or Trey Smith? Well, I don't think so either. But there's a reason they brought in some guys and then tried to keep around some of these veteran guys. So the interesting thing here is that's why you bring in this platoon. You lose 2 projected potential starters at right guard, and you're still like, no, we're totally good.
Yeah, we're ready to go. And here's the thing for me is I think this slams the door on trading Wiley, to tell you the truth. I think he's here now. They have to keep him because of the fact that LDT and Long aren't ready to be the backups in that position.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but
yeah, it's the health thing is going to be really crucial for them moving forward. I think everyone that I've talked to seems optimistic that Long is going to have a role this year, but I think it's going to end up being that roving backup, honestly, because I have a hard time believing that he's going to come in and snag a job without a training camp.
I don't know.
And just like that, Orion Tracy dream dies.
I'll recover, though. It's okay. Thank you, Zulu. We appreciate it. I'll look for a comment from you later, too. Judge, bad news. If the Chiefs keep 10 O-linemen and 4 tight ends, probably not going to have a fullback. Guys, I'm going to tell you this right now. There will be a fullback. He's not going anywhere. Andy will keep him no matter what. Dave Tobe will slap Andy Reid around if he tries to take
He does love him some fullbacks.
And I'll tell you this, there will not be 4 tight ends on the active 53-man roster either.
You know what? How dare you?
I'm just saying. I think Blake Bell is a practice squatter at this point. I'm just going to say it.
That would be interesting. Fortson looks solid at camp. He's put on some poundage, so he's he doesn't look quite as much like a tweener. He looks like a tight end now.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal. And he's held up all right in some of the blocking drills. That matters.
Yeah. That's the differentiator between him and Bell, right? Is the blocking ability. Because he's clearly a better receiver.
Yes, and that's it. If he can block 90% as well as Bell, he should be the guy out there because he's clearly more athletic, high points the ball super well, all that stuff. And that's noticeable in camp.
Okay. I missed a question. You can answer this. How did DeAndre Baker look to you?
Very forgettable.
Yeah.
Not bad. Like I didn't notice any terrible plays, but there wasn't any one moment where I was like, wow, okay. Hughes had a few more snaps like that, like the good ones.
Okay, cool. I mean, Baker's still coming off a fractured femur, people. So, I'm not going to hold it against him yet. If he has some ups and I think it'll be a roller coaster climb, he's going to have some setbacks. I ain't too worried about it. Stevie Keys, what do you got? Oh, for Gooch, he has to repair his super chat button. Okay, I'm glad you have that in the works, Stevie. Very, very thankful for you guys. And one more, Thomas, thank you very much for the super chat.
Yes.
I don't see a question here either, so we will circle back to questions later in the show. But Seth, you've mentioned some things, Jones in particular. Start there of what you saw.
Holy crap! He absolutely ruined. My boss is at work right now.
Hi, boss.
Yeah. Bosses aren't supposed to be in the office at 6:24 at night. Here's the deal. Chris Jones literally ruined several of their 11-on-11 sessions by being unblockable. And it wasn't even like in a way where I was like mad at Lucas Niang. Lucas Niang had a tough day against Jones. Did all right against most other guys.
Right.
And Jaron Reed had a nice play too in terms of pressure, but it was mostly just Chris Jones just was unblockable. And the thing that I saw that was interesting was his cornering's a little better than you'd think, which is odd because he's huge. And that's just kind of the thing. And the comparison that I made on Times Ours was, you remember when Yao Ming came into the NBA? It's not like Yao Ming was like the greatest ball handler in history, right?
Right.
He had like an average handle for an NBA player, except he was doing it at like 7'6". And that's what you're just like, holy crap. Like it just looks weird, right? Like it's just like, it's not natural to even be average. And if you're average at a certain size and strength, it just changes everything. And he cornered a couple times in a way that made you say, huh, maybe. Because that was my assumption. And you and I talked about this a lot, that we figured he would have to win almost exclusively through bull rushes, long arms, swim moves, and some nifty inside work, and just kind of threatening the edge without
Right.
ever really being an actual threat around the edge, because the assumption was he couldn't corner well enough. I think he can corner well enough to where tackles can't cheat.
That's all that matters.
And that is all that matters. And I got to tell you, that is terrible news for tackles across the NFL, because he's a dude that cornered well on a guy with good feet, Lucas Niang. And he also, it didn't happen while I was there, but it was the very first day in pads, just ran over Orlando Brown. And that's not an easy dude to run over. I watched Carl Lawson try to do it like 20 snaps, and he couldn't do it.
Right.
And Carl Lawson runs over a lot of dudes.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I put them as pillars, because they are the two right now. And this matchup in particular is what I was trying to get at, because I had so many people freak out that, oh God, Orlando Brown's losing to Chris Jones. I try to reiterate and everybody take a breath, because that's not that outlandish. Chris Jones destroys just about everyone. And if he's this much leaner and quicker and faster, he should be.
And he looks like he's done it without losing a lot of his strength or any of it, which is just, I mean, he looks unbelievable. Like, I am more convinced than ever that he is going to see like half the snaps at defensive end.
Mm-hmm.
I really thought that this was like going to be like a 30% type thing, like way more than the past, but still not, still not a primary thing. I really think he might be a defensive end as much or more than he's on the interior, because Jaron Reed looked good too. Mm-hmm. And I mean, Wharton's had some really good snaps in training camp. He didn't jump out to me too awful much. Man, he's quick though. And so they've got guys that they think can provide pass rush from 3-tech. And if they think Jones is, our conversation was, if Jones can be a good defensive end pass rusher, and then they don't lose too much juice on the interior, maybe the overall sum of the parts is better, because you're going to lose whoever's rushing from 3-tech isn't going to be as good as Jones. That's just a natural. But let's say they can be 80% or 70% as good as he is, whereas he's twice as good on the edge as anyone else you'd have out there. The overall sum is better. I think he might be better than just good on the edge. Like, he looks awesome. That he's another guy I'm going to be watching though in the preseason game. Can we segue straight to Orlando Brown? Because a lot of people are freaking out.
Yes. One more second though, because one thing I want to say, I heard from someone who I trust, who says he's approaching the point where he is as nimble as Neal was, as the bookend to Derek. Mm-hmm. And if that's the case, then this could change the whole paradigm.
I would agree with that. He looks, you can tell he dropped off 15 pounds, and you can tell he's always been pretty athletic for a really big dude. And you can tell he's just dropped a few pounds, and he looks unbelievable. It just, that level of strength, being as nimble as Neal, but and maybe this is heresy to Chiefs fans, Jones is stronger than Neal was.
Okay.
Which isn't an insult to Neal Smith. Chris Jones, the only reason people aren't talking about, future Hall of Famer Chris Jones is because he's sharing the league with Aaron Donald. Yeah. Otherwise, people would be freaking out. But it would not stun me if Jones had like 17 sacks this year or more.
Well, it stood out to me too that he said he studied one guy in particular this offseason in order to bridge that gap. And that one guy was J.J. Watt. And
smart.
If he can approach that, even if he can get 90% of the way there, this is a game changer for the defense.
Yep. I absolutely agree.
DTKC, they will start Creed at center, I guarantee.
Yes. Yep. He took every snap and he looked good.
That's what I keep hearing. Ben, thank you. Appreciate that. And Judge, this will take us to there if Brown misses time, who starts at left tackle. So tell me about Brown.
So Brown will start off. Here's the deal. For one thing, that dude is enormous. And Lucas Niang is huge too. Like, that's kind of getting underlooked, is how much bigger Lucas Niang is than Mitch Schwartz. So their bookend tackles are massive dudes. Trey Smith is a lot bigger than the guards they had out there last year. Humphrey is bigger than Ryder. Tooney is he's about the same size as who they traditionally had at guard. But Tooney looks terrific. He's a robot. I mean, every snap looks exactly the same, and that is a very high compliment for an offensive lineman. Doesn't matter who he's up against. He looks excellent. He's the only one that's given Jones any trouble, because Jones is just killing people. He gave Trey Smith some problems, man. Although Smith had some good snaps against him too, so did Brown.
Hey.
But So here's the thing with Brown. Brown struggled with the one-on-ones while I was there against speed moves.
Mhm.
He didn't struggle during 11-on-11s.
Right.
It was interesting because I talked about that on Twitter. Then the next day, as I was writing about the disparity between how he performed in one-on-ones versus 11-on-11s, he comes out and says to KC Media, I'm using one-on-ones to work on technique. I'm not really worried about winning or losing. And what I've noticed is they constantly have their guys trying speed rushes on them in those one-on-ones. It's the same stuff over and over. And I think, if I were a guessing man, I think they're testing out to see if his horizontal sets can get there fast enough against speed rushes. And they're trying to figure out whether that'll work.
And that's exactly where I'm going because, folks, months ago, I told you this is going to be an adjustment for Orlando Brown. And those horizontal sets are the big part of it. If you look at those one-on-ones, he loses early. If you watch his feet, he recovers because he's that kind of athlete and that kind of tackle. Once he gets that straightened out and he either gets more comfortable at the 45 or they find a way to get him jumping that horizontal better, I think he's going to be in business. Everything is fine. There's nothing to see here.
And that's pretty much it. And I would just say that even as he works it out, the reality is in the 11-on-11s, the pressure wasn't coming from his area during the 11-on-11s. And I would just note this. Brown is a guy, he is not a tremendous athlete. He's huge and he can move okay for a guy his size, but it's not like Trent Williams, right? Who's a huge guy who also has incredible feet.
Right.
So he's just unique. So with Brown, he's talked about this on Twitter that he's not a great athlete.
Mm-hmm.
And he's talked about the way that he wins is by understanding his game and understanding how blocking works. Mitch Schwartz isn't a tremendous athlete either. I would argue he's not even that good of one. And that's not an insult to him. I don't think he'd necessarily disagree with me.
I don't think so either.
He just understands exactly where to be and what to do. So here's one thing I would note. Some of these one-on-ones that look like losses to people because the guy eventually corners, what doesn't stand out much in one-on-ones is how far back he's making them corner. And so what you see though in 11-on-11s is it looks ugly, and it does at times with Brown. It has. He'll try that horizontal set or maybe a 45, and the guy will start to get by him. And then he makes the guy corner, but he's able to push him out. And it looks like he's lunging, but he pushes him out. And multiple snaps in a row, Mahomes just steps up into the pocket, and the guy goes harmlessly by over and over. And that's what I saw last year for Brown when asked to pass protect like that, when he wasn't able to get his hands on someone immediately in a horizontal set. When he did actually take vertical sets, I thought he looked all right doing it.
Yeah.
So I'm curious if they're going to try to get him more into that. But he is someone who, even if he misses, because he's so wide, because he's got just good enough recovery speed, because his punch is just strong enough, and because he knows that they're going to be trying that move, that around the edge move, he's able to push them wide. And what happened a lot last year is defensive players knew they couldn't bull rush him. They knew they couldn't come through him, and moves to the inside, he swallows.
Yeah.
He does a great job. He just buries them into the guard, and it's over. And so they default to going around the edge. And so he lets them, but he pushes them wide. And then it's just ineffective rush after ineffective rush, even if it doesn't look the prettiest. We'll see how that plays out.
He has one of the bottom 10 athletic matrix scores of any tackle in the last 10 years. So does Mitch Schwartz. It is what it is. The fact that it's over on the left, I think, has people a little bit more sensitive to it.
Right.
At the end of the day, for me, it's one thing about him. You usually talk about flipping hips with D-backs, but for him, when he steps in to try to take an inside move, he is able to flip his hips back out. And that's part of understanding your game, but it's also being able to pivot your feet. It's not like pulling and being good with your feet. It's in a short space and changing your body direction. He's excellent at that.
Right. And so I think and that's why this first preseason game is so interesting to me. Because I'm curious, are they going to just have him continue to just work on stuff? Or now is this time to because you can't really have him working on stuff when he's protecting Mahomes' blind side, even during a preseason game. Yeah. Because you can't let Mahomes get hit. And so the preseason game is going to tell us a lot more. But 11-on-11s tell you way more than one-on-ones. I saw someone comment on this, something that Jeff Schwartz had said,
Oh, okay.
One-on-ones are designed for O linemen to lose.
Yes.
Because defensive linemen, they no longer have to worry about maintaining rushing lane integrity.
Right.
They can go either direction. There's no help either direction. There's no set place where the quarterback is. And so if a defensive lineman eventually makes his way around, it looks like a win for him. But in reality, 11
Mahomes is 15 yards down the field by then.
Yeah, Mahomes would have just stepped up and he goes sailing harmlessly by. And so it's going to be interesting. I'm not worried about Brown at this point based on the 11-on-11s, but he is the person I'm most interested in seeing in the preseason game.
Okay. Yeah, I'm with you there. Longmorn, Wiley as a sixth blocker, I'm completely with you. I think, especially with this line, and especially if they're going to run downhill a little bit more, I love the concept of going big and not using a double tight at that point.
Is Longmorn a burner account because he wants to set football back 20 years just like you do?
And I love him. And he drinks good scotch.
There you go. Just wants to pound the rock. I'm guessing they're not going to do that too awful often, but it would be a really funny zig when everyone thinks you're zagging if they had some game plan where they're like, we're going to run the ball 40 times today, right? Because there's no way a team's game plan for that.
Wiley, tight end, and Burton? Sure, let's go.
And they actually have the horses to maybe do it this time.
Yeah, they really do. Quick one here. Thank you, Longmorn. Appreciate it. Thomas asked a super chat earlier and didn't get a question in. How does Colin Saunders look to you?
He did not really stand out on the reps that I watched, but I've been told by a couple people that I trust that he's looked better this year.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's got a lot to prove this year. I mean, it's going to be hard to get on the field because Jaron Reed's going to play a lot of snaps. And I think Deshaun Wharton's going to play a lot of snaps. Derek Notty's going to play a lot of snaps. Chris Jones is going to play a lot of snaps. Colin Saunders, Chris Jones playing defensive end may be the best thing that could have happened to Colin Saunders because it gives him much more of a chance at seeing some snaps, especially if Wharton's not able to really seal the deal early on.
Well, and even when they get to the point, especially when it's still hot in September, like you might see more platooning where they want to give Reed and Notty a rest, and he's going to be in there with Wharton is my thought. So
absolutely,
I agree with you. Yeah, it makes sense. Jake, thank you for yours. Based on what you've seen at camp, the defensive front hypothetically is the best chance to win against our O-line in the regular season.
I wouldn't overthink it. I would just say the most talented defensive front. It's not really a matter of winning a specific way. Maybe a line with a really great speed edge rusher could give Brown more problems. But what he'll do is he'll just cheat to the outside a little and they'll roll protection, they'll slide protection his direction.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's not ideally what you want to do with your left tackle. But they did it with Fish. It's not like this is like unheard of. Yeah. So I would just say I wouldn't overthink it too awful much. And it really is still just a matter of talent. It's the great lines that they're going to face. Myles Garrett's going to be tough in week 1. He's going to be really, really tough. And that's the thing that is going to be interesting. If Brown does anything less than dominate Myles Garrett, which I mean is virtually impossible to do, there's going to be some angst after week 1 is my guess.
Okay. Brown doesn't scare me, or Garrett doesn't scare me against Brown. They've gone to battle every year of their career together.
Mm-hmm.
He knows him. Garrett isn't coming up with some new thing that's going to get past Brown. Will he give up some pressure? Sure. But it's not going to be earth-shattering. I ain't worried about that at all.
And that'll actually be a good litmus test, too, because the Myles Garretts of the world really dominated Eric Fisher.
Yeah.
And that's not – and I feel bad because I really appreciate Eric Fisher. I think he did a good job. He became a good left tackle. But he struggled against the top-tier guys. And you and I talked about this. The difference I saw in film with Brown and Fisher was most apparent against the top-tier guys, whereas Brown looked pretty much the same as he normally did.
Mm-hmm.
Struggled a little more, like everyone does, but it wasn't as big a jump as occurred with Fish.
Yeah, I mean, if Fish was based on athleticism, that's what he was.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that he gets back to that. Brown is not. That's the difference. It's the length and the technique that Brown has going for him that is the differentiator, in my opinion. But Real asks, what are your thoughts on Thornhill and his progress or lack thereof?
Thornhill looked great.
Yeah.
I was out there.
Hesitant at all?
Say again?
Hesitant at all?
Nope.
Okay.
He looked smooth. He was running just fine out there. as far as I could tell. I made sure to watch. I mean, he was closing off some deep routes, showed good acceleration, changed direction well, had the ball thrown around him a couple times. Man, that guy's got soft hands. He looks fine.
Okay.
And so I really do think this is if I were Chiefs fans, I would just maybe accept the idea that Steve Spagnuolo has fallen in love a little bit with Dan Sorensen, and that's just the way it is, to quote the unmatchable Celine Dion.
I don't even know that it's anything that
we're just going to slide right by the Celine Dion thing there. Okay.
I have nothing kind to say, so my mom said not to say anything. So that's where I'm going to go. But I do think that there's a protection factor here. I think that they took it on easy on him on OTAs. I think they're trying to limit overall snaps for him because of the knee. I don't know that it's anything that they prefer one over the other. I think they would prefer to have all three of those guys all season long, and that's the thing. So that's just me.
I think so too. Oh no.
Gooch is
I don't even want to know. Oh, well, we're all in trouble.
It's going to get shotgun effect here pretty quick.
So I would just say, yeah, it's if it were me, I would love to see them get Willie Gay Jr. as that guy who's doing some of the middle of the field stuff. Let Tyrann Mathieu do middle of the field stuff. Have Thornhill play deep. Get corners on the field. But we'll see. I just like when I'm talking when there's two safeties, right? Whereas they just seem to really like Sorensen, and there it is. And that would solve a problem. I think Chris Jones would have been a tremendous left tackle.
You know what I'm scared to see? If Chris keeps dropping weight, he's going to get his way, and he's going to become a Wildcat quarterback. And then they're going to put Jaron Reed in the backfield too, and then I'm going to be happy.
That would be amazing.
Oh, thank you, DT. What's up, Gooch? Glad you made it back. Frank is hurt again, and is he the new Sammy? I mean, I don't know, man. Also, with Remmers back today, does he automatically fall back with the ones, or is Trey locked in?
You mean Lucas Niang?
Yeah. Trey, I think, is locked in right now. From what I understand, Remmers did not jump back in with the ones until sevens, like the second sevens period.
Yep.
So they left Niang where he was for a bit.
They did. So, but it is worth noting that Remmers at least rotated in there.
Yeah.
So that's obviously still not set in stone what they do there. And that's good to me because that means Niang has to win the job from an average NFL right tackle.
Yeah.
And that's nothing but good news.
Yeah, that's all you can ask. I expect whoever loses that and isn't going to start will become the swing tackle. Someone asked earlier if Brown goes down. We started talking about Brown. We didn't actually answer the question.
Sure.
If Brown had to miss a game, who's the left tackle? It's whoever. Yeah, that's my thought as well. I don't think Prince is ready.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think it's Niang. I think another reason to rotate Remmers in at times is you move Lucas Niang to left tackle and put Remmers in at right tackle, because why risk putting Remmers at a spot where he's shown he's less comfortable?
Right. And I don't think we see Remmers this week at all. There's no reason for it.
No.
Let him get his shots. Yeah.
Yep. Probably the same thing, unfortunately, with Willie Gay Jr. Unless maybe he returned to practice day, but I don't think he did.
I think he ran sevens, but I think that was it. I agree with you. I don't think they might try to push it. I don't think they should. Because a concussion, if you were to get dinged up again, now you're talking a much longer recovery from back-to-back concussions in the preseason. So take that off the table if it's me, and keep Willie out for this game. Let him have another week of rest with no contact. I think that's the best way to go. Because you need him on the field in January this year. That's the key.
Yep, absolutely.
Stevie, I can't believe it only took $2 to fix Gooch's super chat button. For both of you, who are some guys who haven't shown enough yet to make the first cut down? Oh, like they're going to be, who are the first 5 guys off the roster? Because the first cut's down to 85 this year, guys.
I couldn't even tell you the names of the 10.
No, but 3 of them are wide receivers.
Yeah, it's going to be some wide receivers. There's going to be, there's just a bunch of guys that what I am looking forward to is there's going to be at least one name of someone who for no particular reason the fan base is kind of glommed onto, and everyone's going to freak out. So that'll be fun. But I couldn't even tell you that first 10. Hopefully those are guys who catch on somewhere else because this is their dream. Yeah. But it just It's more than I can do to keep up with the names of my own children.
And that continues to grow. So, I mean, hey.
It's a simple, inexpensive hobby that got out of hand.
I'm sorry, Jazz. I will cut that out later on replay before he gets kicked out of the house.
It's the only thing to do in Minnesota that's free.
You can eat snow. Did Celine Dion just get in the RGR chat? Yes, Gooch. I think she got a mention anyway.
That's just the way it is.
If she's here hiding, I got nothing. Trent was asking about biggest concerns for the Browns. I think it is, the pass rush and putting together the line. That's a significant defense in front of them. So
yeah. Although I would just say, given what Andy Reid generally does in week 1, I would not want to be that defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Because it was one of my favorite pressers ever. And I think you and I have talked about this before, and it makes Nate, friend of the show, Nate Taylor, laugh.
Man.
Nate's so awesome. He laughs every time he thinks about it when Anthony Lynn was still coaching the Chargers, and the Kansas City press was asking him before week 1, like, what do you expect Andy to do? He's like, guys, I don't know. Like, he's going to do something that we don't have on tape, that we've never seen before, and it's going to be for a big gain, and it's going to drive me crazy, and maybe we'll adjust everything by the time the second half comes around. It was just like, I have no idea what Andy might do.
It was the most honest answer in the history of press conferences.
Yeah, where it's just like, he was just like, I don't know. Andy always does something new and weird in week 1 that makes us all go, whoa. But he even commented, like, it's not just that 1 or 2 plays. He does something different schematically than what we're used to. I'm excited for that week 1. I would say I'd worry about the pass rush. I think Andy's going to do everything he can to help that offensive line early. Mm-hmm. If I were a betting man, I think maybe you'll see a return of the screen game. They didn't run a ton of that against the Browns in the divisional round, or a ton as much as normal last year, really.
Yeah.
Clyde was generally used as an outlet. I think you might see like the first, 12 targets for Clyde game, just to kind of see how the NFL deals with it and get some stuff on tape that slows down pass rushes for a few weeks. That if I were just guessing anything.
The thing that scares me about week 1 against the Browns is Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb.
Nick Chubb can play.
Jared Reed is going to help this run defense. He's going to help the defense in all kinds of ways. But if they don't have it together by that, they're going to get gashed. And then it becomes, okay, offense, you do have to still carry us. You do still have to score 30 in order to win this game.
They're one team that's built in a way that they could run the ball 40 times and still put up 35 points.
Yeah.
Most teams just aren't built that way. That's why beating the Chiefs with the run game is a sucker's bet, right? Because to beat the Chiefs, generally speaking, you either need their top 6 offensive linemen to be hurt and Patty Mahomes to be playing on turf toe and Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce drop passes. But I digress. Or you need to put up 25, 30 points. And that's hard to do running the ball 50 times.
It is.
So, yes. Gooch, I added the red just for you guys.
Let me do this for you. Do it again. Yeah.
I added the red. Look at that. It's
that beautiful. Diagonal helps too. That's so nice. Beauty.
Absolutely. It makes me look thinner. It's unbelievable.
Right? Gucci's on fire now.
I did the newsletter. Hey. Thanks, man.
That's awesome. You know where you guys can get that? Right here.
Right there. I'm really bad at this.
I'm not doing the other one. I'm just going to do the official one because it helps people actually get there.
Yes. I hopefully people enjoy the content. I've certainly enjoyed writing it. People continue to subscribe. We had our year anniversary. It's been awesome. I'm going to be reviewing basically the entire starting offensive line this next week.
I like it. Do you see this one?
Chief in the true north.
See, he's Canadian.
In the deep north. Hey, I actually only recently discovered Letterkenny.
Oh, serious?
I have no idea how. I grew up in North Dakota.
Dude, you're 5 minutes from there. Are you kidding me?
I watched parts. It's tough for me to watch all that show.
Without your children?
I try to be careful what I watch in terms of language and stuff. But Wayne from Letterkenny, I was watching it. I was like, I grew up with 20 dudes exactly like this guy. Exactly like this. You're 10 pie, bro. I mean, I was just like, yes. I was like, I know this guy. I've hung out with this guy. I've told this guy, whoa, I don't want any problems. Like, anyway, that's just a side note. That's awesome, though. Keep up the great work. I appreciate that. Yes. I appreciate everyone who reads. It blows my mind that you guys do.
And the next evolution will be the, what is it? Chief Beyond the Wall. That's what it'll be.
The Arctic Chief.
There we go. Ben, thank you again. That's like the third one from you tonight, dude.
Ben, what's up, man?
I appreciate you're keeping us in business here, bud.
Yes.
Remmers is
rolling.
Flexible? Well, in that he can play multiple positions stiffly, yes.
Yeah, he's not particularly flexible in terms of knees bending well.
The bendiness.
He knows who he is. And there's value in that.
That's a great question, Gooch. Is it dangerous to play the preseason as the 3 games as though it were the 4 and not get that extra evaluation time and take it easier on the starters? Are you surprised Andy didn't change his schedule?
I'm surprised.
Yeah.
Although I would say Andy's a dude who's been doing this for 20 years. He has a formula in terms of his approach that he knows works. Mm-hmm. And I'm not surprised that he's a little reticent to change that up. And I do think he's probably thinking, and I could be wrong here, with the O-line, I'm guessing he's thinking, we need reps for this group. Mm-hmm. They need reps. Orlando Brown needs reps in this system. Lucas Niang. I mean, they might start 3 flipping rookies. I never even heard of that. Like, can you think of a time 3 rookies have started the season for anyone?
There's only like 4 times in Andy's history where 2 rookies started. Like it's crazy. And it's again, this takes me back to numbers 812 reason to love Pat Mahomes is because he erases some issues on the offensive line with his athleticism that never gets talked about.
Yep.
Drives me insane.
It should get talked about more. And that's the thing. Imagine if he doesn't have to. There are some games from like 2018 especially, which was the best pass protecting year that he had. No coincidence. The last year Mitch Morse was in town. Helped with some issues along the interior. But when he's in rhythm, he's deadly. Yeah. And so, I mean, wouldn't that be awesome if he only had to do it occasionally? So it's just something to think about. But I to Gooch's question, I don't know about dangerous, but I wish he could think of another way of doing it. One thing Jeff Schwartz talked about is, maybe he leaves the starting line out there longer than Mahomes.
That's what I said on Locked On the other day. Like, maybe not the whole one, but the 3 rookies I think need to play into the second quarter. I think that's important, especially if you might see some of the better line defenders, front 7 from San Francisco. That's a quality line. It's not what it was the last time they played in the Super Bowl. It's still a pretty quality line, though. And the more reps they can see against good defenders now will help them in week 1 and week 7 and so on and so on.
Absolutely, because even the depth in San Fran's pretty good. Mm-hmm. And so it doesn't hurt getting reps against, starting caliber, really good line, and then also their backups. That doesn't hurt. Every rep is a positive thing at the pro level for rookies. Yeah. You see something new and different. And that I would think that would be a pretty decent idea. But I mean, you still do. Obviously, you have to worry about injuries and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. There's always something. More red ties. Okay. I got a couple ideas and some gold.
I do have a Chiefs tie that I haven't worn in a while. I wore it before the Super Bowl.
Have you seen the ones the ambassadors wear? It's very much like yours. It's just red and gold stripes.
Yeah, those are a little more professional looking than mine. Mine is like Chiefs. Like it's a lot.
Logos and all, huh?
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. And the thing is, I would wear ties like that more, but I mean, I'm doing child protection cases. I'm not here, it's like, hey, I'm terminating your parental rights, but look at my fun tie. Like, that's just not. I spend like 80% of my hearings with this look on my face.
Yeah, you made me do this.
Yes, like I hate myself and everyone around me.
Oh, that sucks. All right,
wow,
let's
end the life out of the room there.
Yeah, there went that. Let's end on a positive note. Just a couple of guys. You don't have to think that they're going to make like some stupendous progress or anything. Oh, good point, Aaron. Let me remind you all, if you want in the Discord, if you want to get the extra shows and everything, got to be a member. And you got to be a starter level member. That's like the mid tier, right in the middle. I think it's like 25 or whatever. Go check that out. Sign up. If you do, send me an email at this email address, as well as all of you that are already starter level members. Send me an email. I've gotten a couple of emails this week. I'm going to try to get to it before I head out for KC so that you can have access this weekend and during the game. You guys can chat during the game in there, the whole 9 yards. But that said, it all happens is when you're a starter, email me. That's the only way that we can tie it together. Someday they're going to have advanced functionality. I'm probably going to pass out holding my breath for it. So, but back to, let's wrap this up with just guys that you're pulling for. You saw something you liked. You have something about them that you want to see them be successful and make this roster.
Sure. You're talking about like the lower end type guys?
Anybody at all. I don't care.
I saw enough from Noah Gray to make me think maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe there really is something to this on this this first day. This idea that he might contribute the first day is something I keep thinking, no. And that's
maybe.
I don't know. I could see it. He moves pretty fluidly. Here's this is about a star. Tyreek Hill, noticeably better route running than last year. And that's
really
objectively terrifying. And I'm excited. I could not be more here for it. So, we'll just kind of see. But that's just like that was just a couple of just random observation type stuff. But yeah, the guys I really want to see make it are guys I've talked about before, like Tershawn Wharton. I think he's got a unique skill set. I really do. I think he's someone that could absolutely just take that next step mentally and do some really cool things. So he's probably the guy I'm pulling for the most because I think the ceiling there is so high. Also, your internet sucks, Ryan.
Okay. I like that. I like that a lot. See. Oh, I know. It's terrible. I almost dropped whole connection here. And folks, I mean that. If you guys want to do me a favor and connect me to the interweb, I'm on the beta and they don't know when they're going to get it to me. So,
but it is kind of fun when it catches you all up and you're like, hey guys, here's the thing. I really think we're going to do a really good show tomorrow. And we're going to do a couple of these super chats and I'm not really sure.
I am a mannequin. Someone is controlling me this whole time. Gooch, thank you again. He left some clean pockets. I don't know when that was, but he resorted to backyard football.
I don't know when that was either.
Right. Worried he might resort to that at the beginning of the year until he trusts the line. I think an emphasis on this, and he's mentioned it several times, and so has Andy, about taking what the defense gives you. And that means either handing the ball off or hitting the short drag and getting out of the play. Get a new look and don't put yourself in danger. I think they're going to emphasize that so much, Gooch. I don't think it's going to be a problem.
What I've always seen with Mahomes, game by game, it's not something that he brings game to game with him. It's something that happens in a game. I think I've never seen him, even when he, like, let's say like last year, the Saints, holy crap. Before the Super Bowl, that was the most I've ever seen Mahomes get hit.
Yeah.
The next week, he wasn't bailing on clean pockets, like out of the gate. He gives the line a shot, and that interior line is going to be crucial. The stuff from the edge doesn't bother him as much.
No.
It just doesn't. And I assume that's because he's so athletic and he can see it coming a little better, maybe. I don't know.
He's learned to step up better, to tell you the truth.
Yeah. And so it's that interior stuff that gets him moving, right? Yeah. He flees from interior pressure, whereas he goes around edge pressure. And so them shoring up that interior, so much of the season hinges on Joe Tooney being the guy they think he is, Creed Humphrey being the guy they think he is, and Trey Smith being the guy they hoped he was.
Mm-hmm. Which looks more and more like it's going to be. So
that would be unbelievably cool. Like, we're so close to my best case scenario line. We're so close to it.
And you guys, I want to tell you, I have a special thing for you. Matt Derrick, we're going to put that up on Saturday morning, pregame. On this channel. Matt rocks. I mean, he tells me when I'm just a total loony about something, which does happen. But also tomorrow, you guys, on the podcast on Locked On Chiefs, tomorrow on audio and Saturday morning as well on video. I have Eric Kane, who is the host of Locked On Vols and is down at ESPN in Knoxville and has covered Trey Smith for the last 4 years. Lot of insight from him. You guys should check that out. It's going to be an interesting show before Trey gets on the field. So I've been kind of saving it there just to put it out there. But yes, it is. Who put that? Was that Andy? No. There is a muscle hamster running the wheel that is connecting me to the interweb right now. And he's getting tired. I need to feed him. So, Ben, thank you for the last super chat. We very much appreciate it. You guys, thank you for being here tonight and for all the support. Any parting thoughts, Seth?
Man, I am just so excited for preseason. It is, and I say this way too often, and I'm probably going to be saying it for the rest of my life. It's a good week to be a Chiefs fan. And the preseason, it's going to be great. Football is back, and I love this game, man. This is going to be so much fun.
Aaron asked if I'm going to do a live stream post game. I hadn't planned on it, Aaron. I'm not going to be at home because I'm traveling. I might put some thoughts on from my phone, but I can't see comments and stuff when I do that. So it'll just be my ramble normal. So I'll try to do that if I'm still cognizant of my surroundings. And I will give you guys that. Otherwise, we'll be back on Sunday night with the breakdown piece and the normal stuff. So hope you guys have a great one. Seth, thank you for all the time as always. You guys know where to go look. That was cute. I feel so special. Go get this stuff at the Substack. Okay. Please. So enjoy yourselves. You all have a great weekend. We'll catch you.